Okay, hi there. This is Melissa. I am in my temporary summer studio in Wisconsin, and I'm recording some music theory videos for my students who will be taking the music theory exam coming up this fall. And this video is very short, very brief, and is going to walk you through how to draw your own circle of fifths and how to understand and be able to use that circle of fifths quite easily in your theory exam. And then also a couple of other things that you want to be sure to be able you can draw on scratch paper to use during your theory exam to help you in that testing environment. So first of all, I'm going to switch here to a blank screen that I'm going to be able to draw on. So remember the circle of fifths, you can find a version of it in, well, most anywhere, but if you have a scale book, you'll find it inside the front cover of a scale book. And this is the scale book that I use with my students. It's the Alfred's Basic. So I'm just going to have this out in front of me to refer to. I don't need it as far as completing my circle of fifths, but I'll show you where I got some of the information and why I'm putting it on the way I am. All teachers, I think, do this just a little bit differently based on their experience and what their exams do and how they set them up and what they use. So this is not the only way that you can set up a circle of fifths, and this is not the only way to understand the information. I'm doing it this way because my students in the Georgia State who take the Georgia State Music Theory exam, this is how we do it, or this is how I like to present the information for my students so that it's easier for them when they're ready to take the exam. So now I'm going to switch screens here. Hopefully. Alright, so you should have the iPad screen in front of you. There we go. So essentially the circle of fifths is foundational to everything else that we do in music theory. And I not only teach the circle of fifths by teaching scales and making sure that students know their scales according to the circle of fifths, but in this video we'll talk a little bit about how do you construct a circle of fifths. So the first thing that you really want to do, I'm going to set this aside, is be able to have a piece of scratch paper and a pencil handy and maybe a couple of sheets of scratch paper. So on this screen I am going to draw a circle. Does not have to be perfect. Okay? So now I have my circle, and what you're going to do is draw a line that goes down and then two more lines, and you're essentially dividing this up into thirds. So there's my circle for starters. Now why is it called the circle of fifths? Well, we're going to start with the note or the key of C. Let me draw that a little better for you. There we go. And everything we do from C is either a fifth up or a fifth down. So if I play middle C, and if I go up the interval of a fifth to the G, I now have my next key. If I go up a fifth from G, I come to D. If I go up a fifth from D, I get to the A. If I go up a fifth from A, I get to E. If I go up a fifth from E, I get to B. I'm going to move down a little bit on the keyboard here so I don't run out of room. If I go up a perfect fifth from B, I end up on F sharp. If I go up a perfect fifth from F sharp, I end up on C sharp. Okay? And if I were to continue going up, I'll show you that pattern or that path in just a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there. And in this particular scale book, and they're all just a little bit different, but in this particular one, this is exactly the pattern that this scale book follows. It starts with C, goes around the circle of fifths to the right, clockwise, and presents those scales and information first. What we're going to do next, though, is I'm going to show you how this works backward. So we're going to go counterclockwise, starting at the C, and I'm going to go down a perfect fifth. Remember that these are all perfect fifths. So we're going down, and when I go down a perfect fifth, I find F. If I go down a perfect fifth from F, I get to B flat. Down a perfect fifth from B flat is E flat. And down a perfect fifth from the E flat is the A flat. And now I have all of my major keys around the circle of fifths. Now, what you have to do then is be able to write these bottom keys as enharmonic. And this is why I'm going to come back around now, because if I were to keep going just like I did with the sharped key signatures, if I were to go down a perfect fifth from A flat, I would get to D flat. If I were to go down a perfect fifth from D flat, I would of course land on G flat. And if I were to go down my perfect fifth from G flat, I would get to the C flat. So the three enharmonic, let me highlight these for you. The three enharmonic keys are on the bottom. Why are they called enharmonic? Because each of those has two names. So if a key has two names, just like a note, but if the key has two names, it's called enharmonic. Okay? That is a very basic setup for your circle of fifths, and I pulled the book out because I wanted to put this up to the camera and show. I don't know that you can see that, it's rather small. Let me see if I can switch screens here. This is exactly how, there we go. This is exactly how your circle of fifths is set up in the scale book that I use. So if you have this scale book, you'll see exactly this same circle of fifths. Now here on the bottom, they did the enharmonic inside the circle. I don't do that. I always write them as a slash, and you're going to see why in just a minute. Okay? All right, so switching back, you now have your basic circle of fifths. There's a few things missing, though, that I like to add on my circle of fifths. So let's go back and take a look at what's missing. What I like to fill in, or what I like to have students do, is remember that the right side are your sharped keys, the left side are the flatted keys. That should be fairly obvious to you, but just in case you forget, especially in a testing situation, it's nice to have that. I often have students write the number, either the number of sharps or flats that are in the key, or write in the actual letter note names of the notes that are sharp or flat in that key. So let me give you an example. We know, of course, in C major there are 0 sharps or flats. No, nothing. But if we go over here to the G, right here, our G major, that has 1 sharp. And so I'm going to write that over here as F sharp. In fact, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to write this in a different color so that it stands out. Okay, so there's my F sharp. In the key of D major, I have F sharp, C sharp, A major, F, C, and G sharp. In the key of E, I have F, C, G, and D sharps. Okay? This is a little hard to draw neatly using the digital platform here, but you'll get the gist, and you'll do a much neater job on yours when you do yours. And you can see I quit adding the sharps over here, but that's okay, because you get the idea. All right, now I'm going to switch back over to the other side here, and I'm actually going to use another color for my flats, and I'm going to name the flats. So starting with the key of F major, I have B flat. B flat major, of course, has B flat and E flat. Then B flat, E flat. Oh, my digital pen is not working very well today. And then for the A flat major scale, of course, we have B, E, A flat, and D flat. So it's getting a little messy looking right now. And again, you'll be able to do this much more neatly on your end. When you get to the enharmonics, you're welcome to fill those in as well and continue F, C, G, D, and continue with your sharps all the way around and continue with your flats all the way around. I don't have a lot of room on here, so I'm not going to do that because we are going to switch over to our minor keys. Now, if you're taking like up to a level 2, early level 3 exam, you don't need to worry as much about minor keys. For level 2, you definitely don't need minor. So if you're doing a level 2 exam and you just want to stop here, that's okay. If you're doing level 3, it's good to know your minor keys and be able to write those in. So let's do our minor keys in orange. Now, you do have to know at least a few things memorized or know where to start. And because I started with C, I'm going to fill in the minor keys inside the circle. And I know from memory that the relative minor key to C major is A minor. So I'm just going to fill in A right there. Okay? Now again, I have to think about, this is a circle of fifths, so this has to somewhat make sense here. And I can find the relative minor keys in two ways. I can start with A minor, and again go up a fifth, perfect fifth, to the E. So my minor keys are going inside the circle. Draw that a little more neatly. From E, I can go up a perfect fifth to B. And I draw that inside my circle on the other side of the D. So B is relative minor there. I can go up from B a perfect fifth, and that takes me to F sharp. So the relative minor of A major is F sharp minor. And if I go up a perfect fifth from F sharp, I get to C sharp. We're getting crowded here. So C sharp is the relative minor to the key of E. Again, I'm going to come back around my circle of fifths. So I've done my sharped minors. Now I'm going to do my flatted minors. And I'm going to go to F major. And again, I'm going to go down now from the A minor, down a perfect fifth. So if I go down a perfect fifth from the A, because again we're going backward, so I'm going down. Now my minor key is D minor. If I go down from D, I'm at G. Down a perfect fifth from G is C. Down the perfect fifth from C is F. Okay, so now I have all of my sharped and flatted minor keys filled in. All right. We're going to fill in the enharmonic here. And obviously there are a couple of ways to do it. So just like we did when we started our circle of fifths and we started with the sharps and going all the way around with sharps, we're going to do this first enharmonic for the B major scale. So B major, and if we are looking at C sharp as the minor ahead of it, and we go up a perfect fifth from C sharp minor, where we left off on the sharp side, we're going to get to G sharp. Okay, so our relative minor for the B major scale is G sharp minor. We're going to go on to F sharp major. Again, if I go up a fifth from G sharp, that lands me at D sharp. If I go up a fifth from the D sharp, that's going to land me at A sharp minor. Okay? Now we're going to come back and we're going to do this from the other direction. Okay, so again, we're going backwards. We're starting with F minor. We said that the relative minor to A flat major was F minor. So we're going to have these slashes in here again, because now we're going the opposite direction. So from F minor, if I go down a perfect fifth, that lands me on B flat. So if my key is D flat major, then my relative minor is B flat minor. Going down a perfect fifth from B flat, I get to E flat. So E flat minor is the relative minor of G flat major. Last one, if I go down a perfect fifth from E flat, I end up on A flat. Squeeze this in here. A flat is the relative minor for C flat major. So these slash keys, your enharmonic keys, should correlate. What should relate to one another? Let me draw this in. A sharp and C sharp should correlate. B flat and D flat. See that? Those go together. D sharp and F sharp go together. G sharp and B go together. That's how those relate. So your circle of fifths has just gotten a little messy. That's okay, but that is your basic circle of fifths. Some people will tell you don't write in the note names around the outside like I have for your sharps and your flats. And they'll say just write, you know, for G major, they'll just write the number 1. And for D major, they'll just write 2. And for A major, they'll just write 3 to indicate 3 sharps. You can certainly do that. That's perfectly fine. The reason I do it this way is mostly for teaching purposes and demonstration, because the other thing that I'm going to show you in just a minute is another drawing that you should have on scratch paper when you're taking a theory test. So when you do a circle of fifths, so I'm going to get rid of all this, so hopefully you have all this copied down. If not, you can use your scale book, but you should, honestly, you should be able to sit down with no scale book, nothing, and you should be able to figure this out and do this on your own on a blank piece of scratch paper. And here's how you're going to do it. So I'm going to erase this. We're going to start over. And the first thing you want to be able to draw is, whoops, you want to be able to draw a piano keyboard for your test on scratch paper. Okay. And you know how to do this. I'm going to draw small lines here. And it does not have to be this big. And what you want to do for your theory test, for your scratch paper, is you want to have 2 octaves. This only shows 1 octave. And you want to just be able to draw, and if you want to, you can write the letters. Okay? Or you can write them down here, does not matter, on the keys. Either way works. The reason is because if you have a keyboard drawn out as a visual, and if you're asked to draw a circle of fifths, you can use your pencil to go, oh, a perfect fifth. I know that if I'm starting on C, my perfect fifth is going to land on the G, or just because you know your intervals, whatever. But this is one of the more handy tools that you can have when you're taking a theory exam, is to have a keyboard drawn in front of you, because that will also help you manipulate your way through your circle of fifths. When I drew my circle of fifths, I had the keyboard and I could physically place my hands and play the notes so that I could go up and down a perfect fifth. You're not going to have that during a theory exam, so you need to practice drawing these circles of fifths on your own beforehand, so that once you get to your theory exam, you can just start off drawing your circle and start filling in C, G, D, A, E, and so on. And it's not going to be a problem, okay? Now, there's something else that you can draw, and that you can write on your theory exam. This is also in your scale book, and something that you do need to know for your level 2 exam and your level 3 exam. You can write out your order of sharps and flats, and you can do in whatever order you like, but somewhere on a piece of scratch paper you should be able to sketch this, a keyboard, and your circle of fifths, and this will help you out a great deal. So my order of flats equals B, E, A, D, G, C, F. For some reason I memorized that one first when I was taking piano lessons, so that's what I start with. And then for my order of sharps, it's just a reverse of the order of flats. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Again, the digital pen is not as nice. So you should be able to draw your order of sharps or flats. This is the order in which they occur, and this is also inside your scale book. Okay? Let me show you that, where to find that. And if you can draw a keyboard, your order of sharps and flats, and your circle of fifths, you have all the information that you need for your theory test. So I want to show you, if you can see this, the order of sharps and flats is right here in the scale book. And this chart explains everything that's in your circle of fifths, and it gives you the relative minors, so that if you need to check anything, you can check anything against that. Okay? So those are your things that you want to be able to draw. So make sure on scratch paper that you can first draw a keyboard. Make sure that, oh, maybe that's not going to come up. I thought I was going to come back. A keyboard, your order of sharps and flats, and your circle of fifths. Okay? So if you can draw those three things on a piece of scratch paper, you'll be all set to go for a theory test on the Georgia State Theory exams. So if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, start practicing drawing, and we'll see you in the next video.